Of course, it's a terrible idea, and we're going to find out why. Let's go ahead and read this news article. Additional pregnant black women across California will receive a guaranteed monthly income due to a novel program, novel, okay, we'll let them run with that for a while, to address the root causes of racial injustices. I don't think that's what this is about, but you'll see here in a moment. Now, keep in mind, it says additional. They've already been doing this. We just didn't know about it. At least I didn't. Beginning in San Francisco, the Abundant Birth Project. The Abundant Birth Project. Abundant births means more births. They're not even disguising the real purpose of this. The Abundant Birth Project provided $1,000 per month to black residents during their pregnancies and the first 6 months of their children's lives. Now, keep in mind, it's only black women. If you're Native American or Hmong or any of the other underrepresented or disadvantaged racial groups, you're out of luck. And of course, the whole thing is preposterous because California was not a slave state. It spent most of its time subjugating Indians. Indians ain't getting squat here. Not enough votes. Now the program is expanding to 525 people in San Francisco, Alameda, Contra Costa, which is essentially San Jose area, Los Angeles, and Riverside counties after a $6.5 million increase in funding from the California Department of Social Services. 525 people. They're going to give $1,000 a month, and that is going to erase or alleviate the racial injustices that others have suffered. I mean, how in the hell does this work? You select 525 people across the state, you give them a lot of money, and that is somehow supposed to alleviate all of these injustices that they have experienced in the past. Yeah, okay. But it gets even better. Recipients are randomly selected. So in other words, there is a very strong chance, in fact, there is almost a certain likelihood that you're not going to get anything. But here's the problem with that. A lot of women are going to think that this is something that they will get. They're only going to be thinking, if I get pregnant, I get $1,000 a month. And so you're going to have legions of women getting pregnant and they're not going to get any money. So what happens to those kids? After meeting the eligibility requirements, they must be in their first or second trimester and take in an annual household income of less than $100,000. So if they're in their third trimester, they don't get anything. I'm not sure I understand what that's about. And they have to earn less than $100,000. I know a lot of you people are thinking, wait, $100,000? That's a lot of money, right? So you have some banker who's making $90,000 a year, or a doctor like let's say Mrs. Huxtable, and she gets pregnant and she gets $1,000 a month. I mean, if it was an annual income of less than $50,000, you might think, well, okay, it's California. That's not a lot of income in California, but $100,000 a year. Well, okay, keep in mind you're talking about San Francisco and Contra Costa counties and Alameda County, but Riverside County? Really? And why those counties? I mean, San Bernardino County doesn't get anything? I would make an argument that San Bernardino County is poorer than Riverside. This whole thing is just weird. Eligible women can receive monthly stipends of $600 to $1,000. The $600 probably goes to Riverside, depending on which county they live in over the next year. Okay, so they've taken care of that. The program aims to provide financial relief for those suffering from high degree of income disparities and racial inequality. The Guaranteed Income Program helps ease some of the financial burdens that all too often keep mothers from being able to prioritize their own health and ultimately impact the health of their babies and family. For 500 women, chosen randomly. Oh, what a great program. Wow, you're really helping alleviate the suffering. Mayor London Breed. London Breed? Oh, that's very apt. You can't get a more fitting surname than Breed. Said in a statement announcing the expansion. Breed said the effort is rooted in racial justice and added she hopes the Abundant Birth Project will serve as a model to address racial birth disparities throughout the region and state and across the country. With 500 people in California in a certain number of counties, and they're thinking national. Oh, come on. Black women disproportionately experience the highest maternal mortality rates among any population, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. They are also twice as likely than white women to give birth prematurely. I will let you explain why in the comments below. According to KQED, the program's health impacts are being studied at the University of California at Berkeley. Oh, yeah, I'm sure that those are unbiased. San Francisco and Davis, okay. For so long, Black women have been excluded from the resources needed to have safe and healthy pregnancies, said Dr. Zaya Malawa, Director of Expecting Justice, which is overseeing the project with the San Francisco Department of Public Health. Oh, I'm sure they're going to make sure that your tax monies are well spent. This funding will provide pregnant people with economic stability. 525 people. You always got to keep in mind, we're talking about a very small percentage of all pregnant Black women, but a far larger percentage will think they're going to get this. During this critical phase in their lives, while allowing public health institutions to test a novel and promising public health intervention. Michaela Taylor, project manager for Expecting Justice, said that the program allows the women to use the cash to address their needs as they see fit. Gee, I wonder how they're going to use it. Including taking leave to spend time with their newborns. So what about after 6 months? What then? We want to make sure we're replicating that as we expand, because that's the whole thing about abundance. Oh, abundance, large numbers, which is making sure folks feel celebrated and that they're just getting a lot of resources. That's not what abundance means. Okay. This is really sad. Okay. First of all, you're going to have large numbers of women who think that they're going to get this. And so they're going to get pregnant. And don't tell me that this doesn't happen. It does. It distinctly happens. So we are going to see a rise in the birth rates because of this. Well, not really too much because it's only affecting 525 people. This is one of those things that they put in place to make themselves feel good. We put in place a program that allows pregnant Black women to receive additional resources. You put in a program that benefited 500 across the state. You don't get anything for that. That's crap. This is not sustainable. It's not robust. You can't expand it outside of this because there's not enough money. And if you do, everybody's taxes are going to go up and people are going to flee the state. Oh, wait a minute. That's already happening in California. Okay. People are fleeing the state and that just reduces your tax base even more. Now, a lot of people will say, well, California has a lot of money. They're doing things so well. Their government is well funded. That means that they're overtaxing their citizens. Only Californians are ones to brag about the fact that their high taxes go to making their government very wealthy. I mean, who else does that? I mean, you're supposed to balance your book, but if your government is making money hands over fist, it's overtaxing its population. But Californians are all accustomed to that. Well, some of them aren't. They're leaving. And of course, there's a lot that just can't. Now, I know that you're thinking, oh, well, they'll leave California. That's good. No, because these are the conservative ones, and they'll move into our state and make it more conservative. No, their brains have been infested with California politics. When they move in, they'll be the first one to go down to the city hall and demand all new programs for everybody. It's in their nature. Keep them out of your state. By the way, there's nothing in here that says, as far as I can tell, that you have to be married. So baby daddies will come in, get these women pregnant, they'll leave, and these kids will be born in without any fathers. And if you don't think that that happens, it's happening all over the place, and it's affecting all kinds of races. This is not a racial issue. Although California made it one by picking on one race above all others. And of course, the people who have been subjugated the most in California are not black people. It's Native Americans. Go back, read the history. The Spanish in California did not treat American Indians very well. They have endured a lot of hardship, and they're not going to get anything here. And by the way, those of you who want to see some intense poverty, who want to see people really suffering, go visit an Indian reservation sometime. It's truly astounding. There was one in South Dakota, I think, that has an average lifespan of like 47 years. But California doesn't care about them at all. Why? Votes. That's what this comes down to. And yes, this is a very uncomfortable thing to talk about. It's hard to get through an article like this using critical thinking and being objective without saying comments that people will say, well, that sounds racist. It's hard, but that's why they do this. They want that. But I think that you have to stand up and say, look, this is really bad. This is a bad idea. It's not going to help anybody. Well, it'll help 500 or so women. And of course, it may not even help them, because after 6 months, they're on their own. They got to take care of the kid themselves, and they may not have had the kid if it hadn't been for this program. So is this even constitutional? I can't see how this would pass constitutional muster. You're basically singling out people based on their race and giving them money, tax money. I don't see how that's even supportable. Their ability to support this would be better if they just chose poor people. So in other words, forget the race, whatever. If you are extremely poverty stricken, then you would get this extra money. And the hilarity would not be nearly as strong for something like that. And let's face it, if you're really dirt rock poor, your life isn't any good. It doesn't matter what race you are. Just if you're white, that doesn't make your life better. Being poor sucks. As I've heard it said, there's only two things worse than being poor. That's sick and dead. I think that came from an early sitcom. I think it was What's Happening. But so the real problem here is poverty, and they have no interest in solving that. Instead, they're going after the racial thing because they're trying to get votes. That's what this is about. This is a feel-good moment. Giving out a bunch of money to a select very few people allows them to go to their cocktail parties and talk about the programs that they're operating. In truth, this program is not viable. You can't expand it. It's not robust. There's no way to expand this program without just becoming extremely expensive. And of course, as you do that, your tax rates go up, your middle class flees, and now you lose your tax base. So they'll have to keep this small scale, and therefore this is really a hood ornament for social justice. It serves no real purpose other than to make the people who are doing this feel good about themselves. And who are going to be the losers? Well, it's going to be those black women who get pregnant thinking that they're going to be able to benefit from this program, not realizing that it's randomly selected. Your chances of actually getting any money are tiny. The other problem I have with it is that, is it really strictly fair that one person living in one house gets chosen to get $1,000 a month throughout their entire pregnancy, and for 6 months after their child is born, and the person in the house next door not? It just seems like this is like an imposed lottery. It's not constitutional. It's blatantly racist, okay? They say that, well, only white people can be racist. No, this is a racist program because it's race ist. It's based on race. So, like my video, subscribe to my channel. And if you live in a state outside of California, don't do anything like this, okay?